it's hard to explain. They're like death scenes for VHS tapes. We put on googly eyes on the VHS tape, and then we have multiple different ways that they die. One of them is like a lion's den. So we're lowering a tape into a lion's den. And of course, I'm editing it. So you see the line and the tape. And then my friend Evan, we have one where he's a samurai and he's chopping the tape in half. And it has a very Kill Bill kind of quality to it. So just like there's original content throughout the evening as well. So that's part of that. What makes a difference. We have our own camera and we do our own filming.
You don't know how amazing you are. You might not see it in the mirror, but ooh, it's never been clearer to me.
Welcome to the Act Out Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Tomlin. Before we begin, I need you to like, to subscribe, leave a 5-star review. The absolute best way to get this message across is to share it. So share it with your friends, your family, and actually, in lieu of any candy you may want to give out for Halloween, send this out instead. I promise you it's just as good. And maybe even more healthy, arguably. Today's episode comes from Atlanta, Georgia. And we talk with the co-host of VHS Deathmatch, Kristopher Bolz. Kris and I talked about a lot of things. We realized that I can't even pronounce remotely basic names of towns in Wisconsin. We also learned that Kris may have been a bad neighbor, but an awesome party host. And I'm sure many of stand-up comics got their start right in the living room. We're going to have a great time going along the journey with me from Kris's couch all the way to the Earl today at VHS Deathmatch. If you happen to see a VHS tape get disemboweled, you'll have me to thank. I'm really sorry, tape. Will you please still roll? Kris, or do you prefer Kristopher?
Oh, Kris is great.
Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Oh, dude, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
So, are you from Atlanta?
No, from Chicago originally, and moved around a little bit. I used to work in radio broadcasting, so I kind of traveled with that. Moved to Las Vegas and Wisconsin, Waukesha, Wisconsin, shout out. But I came here from Orlando, Florida. I spent some time there. Not a whole lot was happening at the moment for the 2 years that I was there. I was just kind of just wasting time. Yeah. Nothing crazy. So some friends, they said, why don't you come out to Atlanta? I think you might like it. There's a lot of things going on, job opportunities, so I did it. I drove off and that was it. That was probably over 12 years ago. And at the time, I just had that flexibility to where I can just pick up and, throw my things in a car and drive off. And yeah, it's been great since then.
I definitely can understand the radio. You have that radio voice that I am very jealous of right now, you know. So I know this is going to have the best sound quality ever, and it's not going to be anything that I do whatsoever.
Well, I truly appreciate it. Yeah, radio was a lot of fun. I definitely something that I wouldn't want to revisit, but certainly during the time that I did it, it was great. A lot of fun just to kind of meet people, and of course getting free comps, free CDs at the time, and all that stuff. So
it seems like you got to travel to a few places before Atlanta. What was your favorite area that you went to? Obviously Waukesha.
Waukesha, Wisconsin. That was fine. Wisconsin was great. Honestly, I didn't travel that much, but when I living in Las Vegas, I believe I wouldn't say it was my favorite living situation, but I will say that turning 21 and moving to Las Vegas and working at a radio station, Kiss FM at the time, it was kind of mind blowing just coming from the Midwest, and now I'm in Vegas. And so I was caught up in all the lights and all that stuff. And yeah, after a while, I think living there, I think the fun kind of goes down a little bit, and you feel like you're living in a dome, like a snow dome, like a globe, where it's just kind of like this.
I think there is a giant globe there now, ironically. So
I think there is. But you asked me what city I liked the most. I would say Vegas. I wouldn't say I liked it the most, but in comparison to the few places I've gone to, then we'll go with Vegas. Yeah.
So I've never been to Vegas. I went to Biloxi one time for a bachelor party. And I think I had $200, which at the time may as well have been $200 million to
Yeah.
me, you know, and I lost that in 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And so
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I never got like that dopamine hit with a win or anything. So like gambling just never really appealed to me.
Same here. I didn't gamble that often when I lived there. I didn't really care for it. But when I did, it was like the penny slot machines. And it's like no one's really gonna like, you know, every once in a while, like somebody will come by with like a tray of drinks.
Yeah,
Because they give you free drinks occasionally, depending on how much money you put into their machines. But after a while, when you're just sitting there doing the penny slots, then they kind of stop coming by. They're like, you got to get off that one, man. But yeah, so not much of a gambler either. And it's unfortunate. A lot of people, they call it lost wages, Las Vegas lost wages,
yeah.
because of all the people that they gamble, they lose a lot of money, and, you know, they're selling their houses and all these crazy things. So it's best not to do that. Yeah.
I was a bit younger, and so in my younger days, you know, I was a little drunk whenever I was there, and I like wandered away from my party, and I was trying to like find the hotel back, and I knew that there was a pawn shop like very close to the hotel. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, so if I just see this pawn shop, I'm going to be close. But the thing is, I saw so many different pawn shops going down, and it like finally hit me why there were the number of pawn shops that there were. And I got so bummed out. I was like, just get me out of the city. This is awful.
That's depressing. Yeah, definitely. What's been your favorite city?
Okay, so I grew up in Cartersville, Georgia.
Okay.
So land of the Purple Hurricanes. I'm sure you've heard of.
Yeah.
And that was a like very like small rural town.
Okay.
And then I moved to Atlanta, which was the greatest thing ever for me for college.
Yeah.
And so we spent maybe, I'm trying to think, from 2005 all the way to yes, I was here for like 15 years.
Okay.
Met my wife here. You know, we had our first kid here. It's like I love
Congrats.
Atlanta. Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you, man. He's 2. Do you babysit perchance?
I don't. No, I probably wouldn't be. I guess I'm not much of a babysitter with all the jobs I'm working. Well, I feel like I'm working all these jobs, but
You have no idea the bullet you just dodged with that one, man. He is a tiny tyrant, but
yeah,
he's super cute though.
that's awesome.
We loved Atlanta. It got a little too big.
Yeah.
And for me, I really like to be able to, I want to be close to water, and I want to be in a city where I can like walk to a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so Kayla and I 2 years ago moved to Norfolk, Virginia, which is kind of like Southeast Virginia, like
Okay.
right along the coast. And so like the house that we live at now, it was built in like 1910. And so it's
Oh,
like
cool.
really old.
Yeah.
And
Lots of history.
Yeah, lots of history, which
Is it
I'm
haunted?
a huge history nerd. Probably.
I feel like when I hear 1920s, 1910s, it's got to be haunted for sure. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. But that's awesome though. So you guys definitely found like a good spot
Oh yeah,
to raise a
yeah.
family and everything else. So that all counts, you know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Getting to be able to like, so we can walk within like 15 minutes to downtown.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really big. And we live right along a river, and there's
okay.
like a canal that I can like, you know, walk down and meditate, pretend like I'm Charles Dickens every once in
There
a
you
while
go.
with all the old houses. It's a lot of fun.
That sounds cool. I love it.
What's your favorite part of living in Atlanta?
Favorite part, I think, just the arts, the entertainment. I love the food out here as well. There's always some kind of new restaurant popping up. So, I love the diversity, the art, entertainment, and just, all that it has to offer, mainly with just live events and, you know, connecting with people that are doing lots of different artistic things.
There's like this, like a creative energy
Yeah.
that is around Atlanta. This it's almost contagious. So like whenever you get here,
Yeah.
it's so big and so diverse that you can find your community. You know, like it may be hard, but you're going to be able to find your community if you search enough.
Oh, yeah. I definitely agree. There's little pockets all throughout East Atlanta and Atlanta in general, Cabbagetown to East Atlanta Village and little 5 Points. And yeah, you're definitely going to run into, you know, people that you click with. And if you like going out and, you know, doing things, and of course that's definitely, that's the way to go. So
How did you get your start in the entertainment industry?
yeah, it was kind of a weird start. It was, I was living in East Atlanta Village when I moved here, and I had some roommates, and they decided, let's go ahead and throw some house parties.
Mhm.
We'll get a PA system. We'll invite local bands to come and perform in the living room. So this became like a reoccurring thing on weekends, and mainly, you know, those guys were were kind of the force behind it. And then I was like, this is actually a lot of fun. We're just having people come over. We're not charging, but, the house is filling up with complete strangers, which isn't ideal for a lot of people. But at the time, being younger, we were okay with that. And, we called it the House with Eyes because the artwork on the house was actually 2 big eyes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that just became a weird thing. And it's just, a very, bohemian style looking house. And bands performed, and then I just kind of decided we should continue doing this, but maybe have some comedy. And a friend of mine mentioned, you should do comedy because why, mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's not many places that were having stand-up comedy shows in the living room of a home. Really, at the time, it was kind of non-existent. Maybe in other cities, but not so much in Atlanta.
Probably even now, it's non-existent. It's not.
Doesn't happen, and maybe there's safety reasons behind it. But so stand-up comedy became a thing, and I started creating different names of the events and themes, and trying to work, advertising and marketing, and just getting more involved in conceptualizing what that show might look like. Sure, it's a stand-up comedy show, but maybe we can give it a title and do a couple of things, maybe give it a theme. And at that point, I was really, into it. I was making a lot of friends and networking with a lot of people. And the neighbors, they were okay with it. But eventually I felt bad for them because we have these, touring bands and touring comedians coming in the house and performing, and it gets a little bit loud. So I came up with an idea for a comedy show called 8-Bit Comedy Night. 8 comedians, 8-minute sets at Joystick Gamebar. I pitched it to them because it makes sense. 8-bit comedy, 8-bit graphics. So that was kind of my way of sort of figuring out, how can I brand this and attach it to a business where it makes sense. And so that, took off. It became successful around 2015. And then from there, I just, I started networking with other local businesses and developed other types of varieties of events. My original company was called Nerdlanta. Okay. And so it was live comedy shows and pop culture shows, anything related to just nerdy things that we're all into, and basically just diving deep into that. So karaoke events, trivia events. So sorry if I'm rambling here.
No, man, you're fine. Actually,
trying to connect the dots, but yeah.
You said stand-up comic, and I consider myself a friggin' laugh riot. I am very, very comedically humorous. At the same time, I have always said there's no way in the world that I could be a stand-up comic, because that is a completely different skill set than actually being funny.
Yeah. I would agree. I attempted to go on stage.
Okay. So I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
I was more, producing kind of on the sidelines, sort of orchestrating. And honestly, there wasn't much that I had to do. Comedians, they come in, they perform, they do their thing, and it's hilarious. And, I was sort of just a smaller part of that. But yeah, I've done stand-up, or at least I can say that I've gone on stage once or twice. Yeah. So I don't know if I could say I've done stand-up, but yeah, that's kind of, it was deer in the headlights looking out at the audience as I was delivering my jokes and, kind of uncomfortable, but I'm glad I did it. But yeah, I'm with you. I can't, I can't wrap my mind around how to do that. I think it just takes a certain type of skill set and practice, and yeah, I can't do it for sure.
You would have to have the thickest skin imaginable, especially in the beginning, because
yeah,
you're probably not even going to get hecklers. You're just going to get silence.
Yeah.
And to be able to withstand that silence and be like, you know what, I'm going to come back tomorrow. That is a special type of courage that, I do not think that I'd be able to have.
I can't do it. I did go on a second time, and I got a little bit more loose. I didn't look at my jokes necessarily. I kind of had them as an outline, but I sort of improvised.
Yeah.
And I found that to be better. And then I bribed the audience. That was part of it too. I was like, look, I know I'm not getting a lot of laughs here, but I've got a pack of cigarettes and some crackers in my pocket. I will give this to you guys if you just laugh at a couple of jokes. And that kind of worked. But yeah. I had to get a little bit more loose and get out of the format of it.
How are you able to find your community of kind of the comedy scene and the nerd scene, and be able to combine those together? Yeah.
I mean, back when it was a bit more relevant with Nerdlanta, it was really hanging out at Joystick and other places, Sister Louisa's church, and just people coming out to the events and me going to other events. So it's just a bit more organic. in terms of people we're meeting up, we're socializing. Before the pandemic, it was much easier to kind of do that. So it happened very organically. And then sometimes just through, Facebook. But honestly, it just came down to, social networking and being able to kind of, build, more relationships and go from there.
Have you always been interested in kind of entertainment and maybe more like eclectic things, so to speak? Is that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, ever just growing up as a kid, watching, I had in the 80s, just watching all these movies on HBO and late night cable TV. Watching Johnny Carson and different late night talk shows, Conan O'Brien. I've always been a huge fan of entertainment, and partially why I chose to work in radio was to kind of have a little bit of feed into that energy slightly. But yeah, movies, huge fan. I don't direct or film anything, but I love just horror movies specifically.
Oh, okay.
Old sci-fi. And that's what inspired me to kind of take a different direction in terms of what I'm doing currently.
Growing up, I was born in 1986. So I was kind of more of like my films were like the late 80s, 90s, a lot of action movies.
Oh, yeah.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. Are you familiar with him?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
The Muscles from Brussels. Greatest actor of our generation.
He's amazing. He really is. He's done so many great movies, and Lethal Weapon and all these different, kind of cop buddy movies. And there's a lot of good stuff in the late 80s, early 90s.
Well, I think you, I'm kind of now jumping ahead, but you reviewed Samurai Cop, didn't you, for one of your VHS death matches? Yeah,
the first one at Monday Night Garage, we did Samurai Cop versus Miami Connection. I think they paired really well. Yeah, Samurai Cop is a blast. I came to that maybe 8 years ago. I know it's been around for a while, but I came into it a little bit late, and I'm like, this movie's hilarious. The dialogue is just like, what are we doing here? This is crazy. Yeah.
That, I think one of the penultimate fight scenes, I can't remember the main character's name now, but he had the long hair for all through the film.
Oh yeah.
And they thought that they were finished filming. So shaves it all off, had to come back for reshoots. And the wig that he is wearing for that final battle scene. And
it falls off a few times.
Yes.
It was a $30 woman's wig, and the director was furious at, I think, Matt Hannon. It was the actor. I think Matt was his name in the movie as well. But yeah, I remember that. That was a great showdown. No, there's a couple really good, seriously good fighting sequences.
Yeah.
Amongst the crazy dialogue and just the unreal, surreal things that are happening. It was actually shot pretty well, considering, Yeah.
What do you think it is about those almost so bad it's good type thing that gets people to watch and to be so entertained?
Yeah, I think it's great when you're with friends. I think watching movies, I love going to movies. I'm going to go see a movie later on tonight. I love that experience of being in a theater or at least on a couch with friends, and we can all laugh together at something so ridiculous like The Room or Trolls 2. And it's more of a collective thing. It's also fun to do on your own. But for sure, I think it's, to me anyways, the so bad it's good. It's more of everyone's kind of involved in it. We're all in on the same joke. We know the acting is atrocious. We're all laughing at these things that are, I also love the fact that a lot of them are sincere. And they're not trying to be funny.
Right.
They're trying
that's
to actually.
That's very important, actually.
So that's the best part of it, when it's actually when they're sincere about it. And you know it because you're watching it and you're like, okay, they obviously thought this was going to be a genuine line to deliver. And, Yeah.
So I have ADHD, and one of those things, I tend to get down rabbit holes, and I will have an intense interest in something.
Oh, I can do that as well. Yeah.
And I really got invested into the Room.
Yeah.
Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah.
That man, you were saying that it has to be unintentionally bad,
very authentic.
And that's the thing with him. Whenever Tommy Wiseau was writing The Room, he thought he was the next Tennessee Williams.
Yeah.
And after that, we went, Kayla and I went to go see that movie. It was the theater right by the Majestic Diner, on Ponce.
Plaza Theater.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
And we went in there, and by that point I had already seen the movie, so I knew it was ridiculous, but I didn't quite know all the fanfare that was involved with it. And so crazy. Whenever we were going in, people were throwing spoons at the at the screen.
Oh yeah.
And it turned out, I found out later, all of the prop photos for the scenes had pictures of spoons in them. They never replaced what the prop photos were for, like, the picture frames. And so, like, anytime a spoon would come on camera, they throw spoons, and there were, like, certain things. It was like the audience was really into it.
Yeah.
And it was the best experience I'd had. And like, I went in just knowing Kalen, but whenever I left, I felt like I had, 10 other friends.
Oh, yeah. The Plaza is great. Genuine fans of films. I was just there recently to go see the Toxic Avenger, the newer one that came out. And yeah, same thing. I think it's just a place where you can go into, and it's encouraged to be interactive with the movie. Rocky Horror Picture Show they do there, I believe, once Saturdays. It's the same kind of thing where it's interactive and, throwing things at the screen and whatever it is, everyone's involved, and that's a great experience. So I'm glad you got to do that. I definitely got to go back there again. They have a lot of great events there. So
it seems like you're able to kind of bring a little bit of that to your shows now, currently.
Yeah, hoping for some more interaction. VHS Deathmatch is a new concept.
How did you come up with it?
Really just thinking about the fact that I used to sit around and watch, these movies, these low budget kind of direct-to-video movies with friends, and we would laugh and have a good time, drink beer, order pizza, and do this on a regular basis. And I thought, maybe we can take that out of the living room and bring it into a venue. I feel like there's a lot of places that would vibe with that pretty well. I think it might, connect with some people. Just the idea of, here's a comedy show, but it's also a movie night, but it's also commentary, and it's kind of like a podcast all rolled into one. Yeah. And it's also a competition, and we're being very literal about the death match portion of it. And so the live show, it is like a death match. We have like boxing, like the ringing bell sound effects, and we want the audience to vote. So that's not the entire movie. We chop them down. We edit 2 movies down to maybe 15, 20 minutes, but we keep the cohesive nature of it. You can kind of, it's chronological order. You can see what's happening and kind of get an idea what the story is. But long story short, that's the general concept. And there's some other influences in there as well, but mainly it was just coming from having these nights myself with other friends and figuring that could be potentially a good idea for a live event, and let's see where we go with it.
Whenever I was growing up, I would, sit around like drinking with my friends, and we would come up with some amazing ideas. These were $1 billion ideas. I'm just sure of it. But the thing is, we never could take that next step after, like, oh man, this is great. Yeah. But we couldn't do that, like next step afterwards. Like you and your buddies are talking, like, hey man, I think this is a good idea. Yeah. How did you know what the next step was supposed to be, and what did you do?
Yeah. So, I mean, really the time when I was watching a lot of B movies, that was a little bit earlier on, maybe 10 years ago or so, but the memory still stays with me and the fun that I had in terms of like deciding, what I will say is, just to backtrack, I've been out of the event production for about 7 years and really just kind of dialed down and focus more on full-time work. But I think for me, what got me going was just being bored and realizing that I got to do something creative and something fun. So that was my main motivation is, if I'm going to be working full time, which I am, I would like to have something for me to do. I'll do something for them. And obviously for me, because I have to pay the bills, but I want to have a little bit of a mixture of work and then some creative fun to do later on. So that was what inspired me, is just let's do something cool. Let's spend some time to think about it. So I gave myself, several months to kind of just, figure it out. What are we doing? What are we going to call it? What's the theme? Yeah. And that just kind of went from there. So main inspiration was just boredom, honestly.
Hey, boredom is a hell of a motivator. Yeah. I mean, it really is. If you're just twiddling around, the brain doesn't like to be in that kind of just like stasis, so to speak.
Yeah. The monotony is just, it's a bit of it's not fun. So yeah, you gotta break out a little bit.
Do you kind of find yourself having trouble to be able to balance between, like having to work full time, pay all the bills, and, have this like entertainment side as well?
Yeah, it could be a bit of a struggle. It's definitely, it feels like I'm working 2 jobs. And I said earlier, I'm working multiple jobs. Really, it's just the one job that I have. But then putting things together, the editing, the marketing, I'm still fairly new to promoting and Instagram, and so these are all things that I'm having to learn. It takes extra time. So yeah, it definitely, I would say it consumes a good bit of my time, but I'm still satisfied doing it at the same time. So it might be I guess the point is, yes, it definitely is time consuming, but I have fun doing it, so I don't mind it as much.
Yeah, so it's kind of easier to have that like work-life balance, or the work-work balance, so to speak, because this isn't so much work. It's doing something that you're really passionate about. And it kind of brings a sense of purpose to you.
Yeah, so I don't mind it so much.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. So you have family here too. And
like all my family.
Well, you're from here originally, so that makes sense. Yeah, and that's cool. So then you're doing more interviews, and then family in town as well, and awesome set too, by the way.
Thank you so much, man. Yeah,
that's
like
really cool.
Whenever like I got to like watch her do this and like to see her like like thought process and stuff, like I love watching people do stuff that they like really enjoy doing. Like you can there like comes a time when like you can just tell where they are so at one with what they are doing that they're not paying attention to anything else at all except for like the
you get tunnel vision. I love following people that are creative and passionate. Like what you guys are doing is amazing, and like this is something that I definitely I respect the game. If you want to call it a game, I don't know what you call it, but basically just like the grind is what I meant to say. Yeah, because it is a grind, but it's also creative, and it's cool. And this thing pops too, like in the video clips, the thumbnails. Like this definitely it shows really well. It comes out nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy with it.
Yeah,
growing up, I was like, we have so many home movies of like me like interviewing my sister and like just like hamming it up in front of a camera, and like it's something that like I've always been very comfortable. Like in front of a camera trying to perform. That part, and then like having like cool conversations with cool people, like like that's the best thing ever. It is everything outside of that is unbelievably hard for me. Like you had said the promoting, it feels so weird to have to promote myself. Like I'm like I feel like I'm like full of myself or something if I'm doing that.
I agree with you. It's a little uncomfortable. Yeah, especially like part of my promotion is printing out flyers and going into shops and talking to people, which I don't mind talking to people, but I'm like, oh, can you put up my flyer, please? And it just feels weird. I don't know if that's necessarily something that you're dealing with, but just promoting, you're still kind of having to, hey, here's my thing. Please like
here's
it.
Me. Yeah. And and also like a podcast is not exactly known as a selfless endeavor, So there's like there's one thing of like me going in front of saying like, hey, have you considered listening to the podcast? Yeah. And then it's also, this guy is he is so full of himself that he actually thinks people want to hear what he has to say,
But people will. Finding the audience is all that it comes down to. And I guess that's where I'm still kind of like trying to figure out how that works. But,
what's been the hardest part for you?
I think, the promotion, the marketing, not really knowing a whole lot about it. I know how to edit videos, and, I know how to, do certain things on Instagram where I can promote, but then I'm just, I'm like, okay, so I've got the flyers, I print them out, I go around town, I put them up, and I do the videos, but I'm like, well, what else am I missing here? And it's still fairly new, so I haven't had much time to evaluate maybe where I need to work on some things, but I do find the hardest part is the promoting of it and trying to understand how I want the brand to come out to people and that sort of thing. Absolutely, the easiest part is watching the movies, the editing part of it, and coming up with just writing some things out. So
how have you been able to kind of maintain your maintain that sense of drive and wanting to move forward whenever maybe you're not quite getting enough feedback, even where like if you're not really hearing enough back to like, hey, I don't know if people are really resonating with this or not, like. How are you able to kind of like still move forward?
I would say it's still early on in the stages, so there hasn't been much. Like I get comments and people that I know are saying, hey, that's pretty cool. I like what you're doing. But there's not much traction yet to really gauge completely what the feedback is. My co-host, Lauren Blair, she's been involved, since the last couple months. We've been, working back and forth on preparing for the show. very supportive. She loves what I'm doing, what we're doing together collectively. So outside of that, just to answer your question, it's still kind of early. People seem to be liking it. Whenever I do go out and do a flyer drop, it's nice to be able to talk to people. And everyone seems to be having, like, they're excited to see the flyer. They like the idea. It's different. There's nothing else really that I can tell that's similar to this in Atlanta. So it is kind of a fresh thing that I believe people are connecting with on that level anyways.
It seems like you have a vision that you feel confident in, for the show. Is that kind of like that sense of confidence? Is that something that you were just kind of just naturally, like, thanks to your DNA, you were born with it? Or is that something that you had to develop over time?
Yeah, I honestly, I feel like I've had it for quite some time. I mean, not to sound like arrogant. Or whatever, I've always, back in the day, I went to school for radio broadcasting, and so I was a producer for a few different radio shows on college radio, and I was able to, like, book guests, and I was always just I was always being proactive, productive, and doing something. And I've always enjoyed just kind of piecing things together and figuring out how to make things work, and naturally just had the initiative to do something. Didn't really have to, like, have my hand held. I have a passion for several things. And if I really want to go out there and go after something, then I can, it takes some time, but I can get around to it.
Yeah. Once you have that drive, or once you have the idea, you're willing to take the lumps, like, make a couple of mistakes along the way. It seems like you just like, hey, I'm going to learn from this, and I'm going to be able to move forward.
Oh yeah, I've made a lot of mistakes, and you definitely have to. Yeah, I made a good amount of mistakes, and that's okay. I think, to make mistakes, as long as you learn from it and you don't continue to make the same mistakes. And even if you do continue to make the same mistakes, eventually you have to, like, put things in perspective and learn from it so you can get better. So yeah, I've had a lot of, in any choice I've made in life, whether it's pursuing radio or event production or what have you, there's been a lot of mistakes, but it's good to have that, I think, at least at the early start.
Well, they say experience is the best teacher. It only comes 20 seconds too late.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, sometimes it is too late, but it's not too late to at least adjust and figure out something else.
So I think that was actually one of my biggest hurdles in ever wanting to start anything, especially like a podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm pointing at the backdrop as,
it's a cool
as the
backdrop.
symbol of the podcast, but I had this idea that I had to be perfect from the beginning. A mistake would have been a threat to my, survive. Essentially, a mistake would have been absolutely fatal.
Yeah.
And so it took me a lot of therapy, actually, to be able to get to a point where, like, oh, making a mistake it's not the end of the world.
Right.
It's actually could be a good thing if you use it right.
Yeah.
It seems like, though, you had that lesson from the beginning. You didn't have to spend $20,000 in therapy.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you. Like that mindset too. I've had those feelings of this has to be perfect, and I'm pretty hands on with everything, and it has to be exactly so. And if this goes wrong, then it's a disaster. And then if especially with live events where there's, we're using the laptop, we're using the projector, multiple things are happening. A lot of you're relying on technology. And if that goes out, then it kind of gives me a bit of anxiety. But yeah, that's a back and forth struggle. But for the most part, I believe that you're right, though. It's like it's not. I'll have those moments where I'm thinking this has to be perfect. But I've realized, honestly, along the way that, things can be messed up, things can go wrong. And if I can just rebound from that and joke on it, if a mic goes out or if something happens, I think it's just always best to use humor and just to kind of, you can go ahead and note and mention what happened, the mistake that happened, but also just kind of joke about it. And people a bit more, I think they'll excuse it.
Yeah. Especially if you own it. And then move forward, like you're almost like, yep, this was exactly supposed to happen.
Yeah,
I think people almost respect you more.
Yeah.
So you said you majored in psychology. Why do you think?
Yeah.
I
wish.
Why do you think that humans have that, like, perfectionistic tendency where they want everything to be perfect?
Yeah, I think it's because the ones that have that way of thinking, it's not a lot of people. It's a lot of people, but it's less than I believe. They really truly care about what they're doing, and so I think if you care so much about something, you want to see it to be perfect, and so I believe that's where that comes from. It's just that perfection, wanting things to be perfect, probably stems from caring about what you do, and it's not a bad thing.
Right.
I think it's a good thing. But there's people who don't really care so much about the outcome of how things go, and I mean that's fine too. But I don't know. I feel like the person that's more of a perfectionist that cares more is probably going to get a better results out of what they're doing than those that are just like that's fine. We could half-ass it.
Will get better results, but at the same time would at a higher cost to themselves.
Yeah.
Because the cortisol and the stress that,
absolutely.
that the perfectionist puts in.
The stress is real. Yeah. That's the other tail end of it too, I guess, is okay, maybe you're getting the result that you're looking for, but also how are you doing? Because you have to kind of think about, we have to think about ourselves for a second and do like a little mental health check, which is very needed sometimes when you have tunnel vision, you're focused on your creative efforts, but then you get a little carried away with that.
Yeah.
No,
that's actually something that I kind of realized with myself, like in the beginning, where I was making decisions and I was like, wait, is this actually best for me?
Yeah.
Or am I making this decision because I think it's best for the podcast?
Right.
And it was very difficult to kind of like differentiate those two for a bit.
It's a battle for a little bit because it's like you kind of want to do what's best for the podcast, or I want to do what's best for this live event. And then I'm like, oh, but I got to check in with myself and see how am I doing because I got to work the next day. Should I be up until 4:00 in the morning editing videos when I have to go to work at 9:00? Probably not.
I think for me, I've tried to change that from being perfect. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to progress.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how I'm able to still have a sense of drive. Because like that, I have a goal and it's a lofty one. So I'm going to have to work hard to achieve it. I don't know how people like that you're saying that like don't really like couldn't care less about the results. I don't understand how someone like that would be able to, succeed. So for me, being able to change that goal from perfection to progress, I think was kind of big.
That's a good perspective to have. It's maybe not how much I can do right now, but how much can I do in the next couple months, kind of like, just sort of progress. That's a really positive way to look at it. And honestly,
I was just trying to show off.
Yeah. I love it. That's good advice though. It's nice perspective to have is, because I sometimes get lost in everything. And I'm like, well, how much can I do today? I've got X amount of hours in one day. Like I said, staying up until 4:00 in the morning to edit videos is not the smartest thing to do. So yeah, one step at a time, I think.
What do you, so you said you have an actual job that has to pay the bills. What do you do?
Sales, remote. I work from home. I sell software. I cold call people and they hang up on me and then I call them back and I say, hey, I think you really want to buy this thing. Let's talk. So it's
so you handle rejection for a living.
I handle rejection for a living. I've gotten pretty good at it, honestly. But it pays the bills, and I do enjoy talking to people. So I don't mean for it to sound that bad. But yeah, certainly it is a job and it's a grind. But yeah, I do that, and then clock out. I take a nap, and then I get back to working on. And it's not like what I do is a 24/7 thing. Yeah. But when I have an event coming up, then certainly it'll be a little bit more time consuming. So I knock out a couple hours after work and go from there.
We were talking about how a stand-up comic would be a difficult job. Someone that has to do cold call sales is just about as difficult as trying to be a stand-up comic.
Yeah, well, I think I have a lot of high respect for comedians and the work that goes into what they do, and there's probably
I have a high respect for the cold call salesman as well.
It is a tough grind. I feel like it's gotten it's second nature to me now that I've been doing it for 4 years now. So I would say I don't love doing it, but it's the best way to get into a conversation of somebody. And as long as I pull it off where it's natural and I'm not sounding like a salesperson, that's been my thing. From the very beginning, I had to work on, my tone and how I say things and not sound like a morning radio show host or something, like sound like a genuine person, like we're hanging out as we are now or at a bar. And that's kind of my approach to calling up CEOs of companies and C-level people. Just, I even say, hey, dude, like I just, it's just very natural to me. Most of them, they don't seem to mind it, but I've only had one person who was like, my name isn't Dude. Can you not call me Dude?
Yeah, okay,
like,
fair enough.
All right,
Jackass,
sorry, Mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever, Kristopher.
Yeah. I don't talk like that all the time, but I guess the point is, I don't know, I just kind of go into that direction there with how I go about the calls, but I like talking to people, so it works out.
It seems like in order to be successful, you have to be yourself. In that kind of sales role.
Yeah, I think just being authentic is a great way to go about most things. At least try to be, and it can be hard sometimes. But yeah,
Why do you think that is? That it's hard to be authentic.
I think that there's fear of maybe you're going to say something silly, or you might do the wrong thing, or you might offend somebody. I think there's a little bit of that. But I don't know how. Maybe there's more to it than what I'm thinking. But yeah, authentic, I just feel like, obviously that's the best approach, but maybe it's not, always, I don't know. It's hard to say.
High risk, high reward.
Yeah.
So I think that for me, I knew from the beginning, in order to be successful at podcasting, I was going to have to be myself.
Yeah.
At the same time now, if this doesn't succeed, that was me, that was my genuine self failing. And I mean that would hurt, And I think that a lot of times inauthenticity is a protection mechanism from some type of rejection or hurt that was to come.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a little bit of fear, and then you don't really progress or do anything. Like at least you're doing this, you're actually making it happen. And so
maybe I majored in psychology.
Yeah. I mean, but it's working, and it's like it's great to there's a risk, of course, in your ego and your self-esteem and how you feel about yourself, and it can certainly not feel great if something that you've put yourself into and you've been 100% yourself and it fails, or I guess fails. I mean,
right?
There's really no, but yeah, I could see how that would be. And I've had those steps before where I've done things and I'm like, oh, this isn't working out so well, and I kind of put a little bit of my effort into what I'm doing. And so, yeah.
Well, then let's go on the reverse end. What has been an instance where you have put yourself into something and you got to be authentically yourself and you got to see it succeed?
Oh, where it did succeed?
Yeah.
I would say, honestly, the events have been fairly successful. I've learned a lot from the time that I've been putting shows together, and learned how not to do certain things. And, but yeah, the events, I think, there's just one event right now, the monthly event, but, I've seen success there. I've seen success, in anything that really I apply myself to. Radio broadcasting. I guess I keep mentioning that, but that was like something I was very, very passionate about for like the longest time, listening to Howard Stern and different DJs growing up in Chicago, listening to Q101. So I had all these DJs that I like to listen to, and I'm probably rambling here, but
no, you're fine.
A lot of passion. So really anything that I have a passion for, I do find that I'm able to succeed in. Yeah. I mean, there hasn't been too many things that I've really tried to attach myself to other than that, or illustrating. I used to like to illustrate quite a bit. I didn't really pursue that. So maybe that's one example.
That was just a success without even having to try, I guess.
One example of something that I was passionate about, illustrating, drawing, and I wanted to be a comic book illustrator at one point. And then I just got distracted with something else. So that was just mainly just being a kid and you finding different things that you like and don't like. And not sure where I was going with that story.
What I think is very interesting with what you just said, and it was kind of like an epiphany for me, endeavors where you've succeeded. One of the first things you were talking about were, oh man, I made so many mistakes here. I'm doing this and this and this.
Yeah.
But the mistakes didn't stop you. If I were doing that, I made the mistake. Oh, that mistake's a failure. I failed. You don't see that mistake as a failure. It's a learning opportunity, and you get to move forward. So, you are defining success and failure in your own way there. In that case,
I think that's definitely, pretty much. You just have to adapt to what's going on. I don't want to give up on it. Some things I'm sure I've given up on a few things. So, but honestly, they're kind of in the back of my mind now, and we're long past anything like that. So my main focus is on what I love, what I enjoy doing, my passion, and I'm going to make it work.
Yeah.
So if it takes practice and it takes long nights of reading and just understanding, absorbing to get better, watching other people do it, talking to other people that do it better than me, whatever the case is, if someone's doing something better than me and I want to get to where they are, then I'm going to be friends with them. We're going to talk. And yeah. So,
have you been able to find a lot of people in the kind of entertainment industry to kind of form a sense of community and kind of like learn from?
Yeah. I mean, it's in terms of the events that I'm putting together. Yeah. There's a lot of people, a lot of friends that are currently, they work in comedy or they're producing events and putting things together. Yeah. So I do try to, hang out with people that are, we're all kind of on a similar page. My network of friendship. I mean, I have, a good group of friends. I don't really go out as often as I used to. So I suppose maybe my circle is kind of, getting a little bit tighter, but I have really good, solid friends and family. Some that live in the city, some that live elsewhere, Chicago, Indiana. But to answer your question, yeah, I do, surround myself with people that are doing similar things, and I can always kind of feed off their energy and maybe vice versa and get some words of wisdom and understanding.
Yeah.
So,
well, it seems like what is it called? 80s VHS Deathmatch. Is that the name of your show now?
Oh, just VHS.
Oh,
Deathmatch.
VHS. Oh, I thought, why did I have 80s in there?
Well, it is. There's a lot of 80s and 90s.
I'm pigeonholing you, man. Yeah.
No, that's all right. Yeah, just VHS Deathmatch. But yeah, 80s content.
I believe this episode is going to air October 30th.
Oh,
and
perfect.
Y'all have an event October 31st, do you not?
Yeah, that's the night before. So Thursday. So Friday we have the show at the Earl in East Atlanta Village. And it's Chopping Mall versus Death Spa.
Okay, I haven't seen either one.
They're very entertaining. They're low budget movies. Roger Corman was actually the producer, I believe, of Chopping Mall.
Mm-hmm.
I think his wife was the writer of it, and Roger Corman is just kind of like the king of doing the low budget stuff.
Yeah.
Death Race 2000 and Little Shop of Horrors, the original.
Yeah.
So they're great watches. They're unbelievable. The dialogue, they're a lot of fun.
So how did you decide those two movies? And will you walk through your process essentially, like how you kind of put something together?
Yeah, the pairing for me is it's mostly important. If we're doing a death match, I want to have movies that at least are a little bit similar. They feel like they belong in the same universe. I've just known of these two movies, Chopping Mall and Death Spa, are one of my favorites actually from the 80s. And I just figured, a mall, and then we have killer robots in the mall going after teenagers. And then we have a spa, which is it's like a gym and a health club all rolled into one.
Yeah.
It just kind of feels like a suburban nightmare a little bit. Malls and death spas I mean. So it just kind of feels like it belongs to that same universe. And then if you watch the films, you'll see that even aesthetically, they kind of look similar.
Okay, so what do? You're as you're watching the movie, are you is your brain already working trying to pick out scenes ooh, yeah, this would be good to put in, or do you have to watch it a couple of times through, or writing notes and then kind of piecing it together that way?
I watched the entire film, both films, and then as I'm watching it, I am looking for scenes, and I actually watch and edit at the same time.
Oh wow, okay.
So I'll just I'll look for all the scenes that kind of stand out. And again, I'm still kind of trying to keep things in chronological order somewhat to an extent so people can watch it for the first time they haven't seen either movie and at least get something out of it. But yeah, I kind of just watch and edit. And then that can go on for several hours usually. But sometimes it takes maybe 2 days to do so.
Do you have a script? Or with your partner, is it Katie? Or?
Lauren,
yeah.
Yeah.
So do y'all have a script, or is this all kind of improvised?
It's improvised, but we do have there's a little bit of work that goes into the talking points. So yeah, when we introduce ourselves, there's a little bit of a script, but it's mostly just outlines. Yeah. But we try best not to look at that. It's just sort of in case we mess up here, we got something on paper so we can refer to that. Mm-hmm. And then during the conversations, we have a couple of roundtable discussions where we watch a clip block, 5-6 minutes of footage. and then we have our commentary, and then we go back to more footage, and then we have our commentary. So throughout that process, I do have like notes on different things that are happening throughout the movie. I have like a highlight list. So I write down everything. It's all the things that I think are funny that stand out. And I just kind of list them all. And then it's just optional. But if we get lost in our thinking process and what we're saying isn't quite connecting, then we again have that. So for me, it's mostly like a safety measure of let's try to riff and be casual, and we're watching it and everything we're saying is off the cuff. But in case we need it, then we have like actual talking points to look at. So it's a fine balance of use them if you can, because it does sound a bit more professional to have something at least in front of you, but not, rely on it completely.
What do you think it is about your show that kind of sets it apart from other things, live events in Atlanta? I
think it's a combination of a few things. It's a movie night. It's a comedy show. It's like a live podcast. It's weird. It's chaotic. We have.
It sounds awesome. I
appreciate it. The audience, it's interactive. The audience can vote on which movie is the best or the worst. They're not watching the entire films. They're watching like some of the best scenes out of those films. And the voting system is kind of cool. There's a QR code. They scan that. They get to pick the title that they want to be the best of the worst.
Yeah.
And we also have this new thing that we added where they get to choose how the losing movie or VHS tape dies. So we have a loser, we have a winner, we have a loser, and we have these pre-recorded videos where they're basically it's hard to explain. They're like death scenes for VHS tapes. We put on googly eyes on the VHS tape, and then we have multiple different ways that they die. One of them is like a lion's den. So we're lowering a tape into a lion's den. And of course, I'm editing it. So you see the line and the tape. And then my friend Evan, we have one where he's a samurai and he's chopping the tape in half. And it has a very Kill Bill kind of quality to it. So just like there's original content throughout the evening as well. So that's part of that. What makes a difference. We have our own camera and we do our own filming. And so, at the end of the night, we show how these different tapes are being executed because they performed so badly with, at the event. So, it's super, it's very gimmicky. It's funny. It's meant to be just kind of silly and,
Well, what does the winner get besides the ability to live to see another day?
No awards so far yet.
Okay. Yeah. It's just...
I do want to... Yeah, they get to win.
High stakes, no rewards. Okay.
Exactly. I think I may have to figure out an award system there. But, that's pretty much it. So the audience gets to have that, hopefully, the satisfaction of knowing that they chose which movie, they consider to be worthy enough to survive the death match, and we go from there.
I can imagine it being a friggin' blast coming up with all the different death scenes for the VHS tapes.
And it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, just coming up with different scenarios. One of them, there's one video where I send a tape to hell, and I literally put it in a box, and it's actually quite simple. I put it in a box and put it in a mailbox, and it's being I wrote to hell. But I am taking it very literal, the death match thing, and just the idea of death and VHS tapes, and kind of some of the images and just the marketing all together. I'm trying to kind of like make it known that this is a death match, and we're pretty serious, I suppose, about the concept of it.
Now, so do you have to? You're saying there's a QR code and that like you can vote on the way there. The VHS dies. Do y'all have to film out separately each VHS dying in like multiple different ways because you don't know how the audience is going to vote? Yeah,
it's filmed in advance. So we've only done like 3 or 4 videos so far. And we film it in advance, and then they get to choose which one. And then we get the votes, and then I pick out which video it is. I usually end up just showing all of them because we might as well.
Right. Yeah. If you put that much effort into it.
Yeah. So I do show them all, but we pick out the one that they've voted for. The last one at Money in the Garage, they voted for the samurai, the slicing of the VHS tape with the samurai sword.
Yeah.
That one was like a lot of fun to do. So
in my head, there's John Belushi and Saturday Night Live, like going down with the katana. Like that's kind of how I envision it.
Yeah, I can
hope
definitely.
that's how it is.
I can definitely see that. Yeah, it's similar to that. It's a very Kill Bill kind of vibe, and I had a lot of fun editing that and putting some effects there. So yeah, I've got more ideas, for how we'll execute more VHS tapes. It sounds so weird, but I just feel like visually we kind of have to go there.
Yeah.
I think that's why I decided to lean in heavy, and it's weird, it's bizarre, but I think that's hopefully people connect with it. If not, then that's fine too. I'll just keep doing it.
I mean, I'm a bit grotesque, I guess, but my thing disemboweling. I just take out all the tape.
Yeah, the filming and the tape.
The film.
Yeah, that's perfect for. I guess that's what you call the film strip. Yeah, that's a perfect visual for. You can kind of like that's pretend gore, like it's just the actual tape, but you can kind of pretend it's like blood and guts and whatever. I don't know. It's fun. I don't know.
It is awesome that you've been able to have your friends and bring them in and be a part of this kind of process and stuff. I don't know, man. I'm really jealous.
I mean, I think what you guys are doing is amazing as well, and it, like having friends involved in what you're doing is great, and friends and family. It certainly helps to have that, have feedback. So yeah, I appreciate it. I'm lucky. I feel very fortunate to have, the people around me that, are commenting on what I'm putting out, and they seem to like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is nice. I mean, either way, I still, I feel good about what I'm putting out there, and I'll continue to do it. But having feedback is obviously, it's pretty monumental. Yeah.
Well, so what's your long-term goal for VHS Deathmatch?
Well, I just want to find a permanent residence for it.
Mm-hmm.
So having a place, that I can I can do it monthly would be nice. Kind of get it off the ground here in Atlanta. I would love to have more people come out to the events and basically just kind of see it progress.
Mm-hmm.
And then, maybe we'll see about, I would love to go on tour with it at some point, but that's way down the road, and we got to get our everything in gear, in terms of just what we're doing locally. But yeah, what I would like to see is that we have a good turnout. People are enjoying it. They're coming out to the monthly shows, and then maybe you can do like a tour, which would be years down the road probably. But that'd be cool.
Sounds good. I'm pulling for you, man. I really
thank you.
Whenever you were explaining the concept of it, it's very unique, and I don't really imagine very many shows being like that. I think that is a pretty good niche.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of enthusiasts of VHS tapes, especially. It seems like it's in popularity within the last couple of years. Honestly, tapes have become popular, and obviously we're always going to have fans of movies, especially horror movies, and Atlanta has all that going on. But yeah, I don't think that there's anything quite like this, at least especially the audience interaction with the death match, and you can vote kind of thing. So
what do you think it is about nostalgia that is so like catnip for people?
That just makes us feel good. I think when life is stressful and we were just getting through the day, it's nice to maybe throw on Short Circuit 2 or whatever the movie is that you might be into. I don't know why I thought of that movie, honestly. I haven't seen it in years, but just watching stuff from the 80s and 90s, it brings us back to a time when maybe life was, at least when you're younger, especially, less responsibilities. You can just, watch this movie and it kind of connects you. It brings you back to that time a little bit. Even with music, I think there's a connection with certain songs, and it kind of takes you in your mind back to a particular time.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that's the same for movies and music. And it's just kind of fun.
Every time, I told you earlier, I watched Jean-Claude Van Damme growing up.
Yeah.
Every time I see a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, I feel like I'm 5 years old. Sitting in the mobile home and trying to air kick the couch cushions.
Yeah, I gotta watch. Speaking of Jean-Claude, Bloodsport, I gotta watch that again.
God,
that's
man,
a classic.
So, have you ever seen Kickboxer?
I have, but it's been a while.
Okay, so the bad guy in Kickboxer, is actually also in Bloodsport.
Okay,
so there's the main bad guy in Bloodsport. His name's Chong Li.
Yeah.
And he there's a scene where he breaks a guy's leg. Kicks it and the bone comes out.
Yeah.
The guy whose leg goes up, that is actually Tong Po.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tong Po was there's like the scene in Kickboxer where Tong Po is like hitting this like platform, and it's like basically like crumbling the structure. And that scared the bejesus out of 5-year-old Adam.
Oh yeah.
To the point where like there's a scene later where Jean-Claude is like challenging him to a fight. He's like, "I want Tong Po." I was like, "No, you don't, man. Please don't say that, man."
Yeah.
And I still actually get scared whenever I look at Tong Po to this day.
That's the trip. There's some things that definitely stay with you, especially at 5 or 6 and you're watching stuff like that. Yeah, there's certain things. For me, it's Pet Sematary. I saw that when I was really, really young in the theaters. I shouldn't have been in the theaters at 8 years old or 9 watching Pet Sematary. But I grew up watching horror movies, but it was like I was fine with a lot of stuff that I saw mostly. But it was one scene with the sister, and she's up in the attic, and it's just kind of creepy and weird. And I don't know, she said something, it just kind of freaked me out. But I just remember that was one instance where I was like, I can't watch that. Even till this day, when I watch that scene again, it kind of freaks me out.
You still feel that? That is so crazy that can still have that kind of
sticks with you,
power over you. One thing that I didn't really like horror movies growing up. Like I'd be too scared of them, and I was like kind of like reading up on kind of like I guess the history of horror cinema at one point, and it was talking about how a lot of these like 70s and 80s like slasher movies and stuff were actually conservative tales where if you were going, it's always the teens that went off and were having sex. They would be the ones that died.
Oh, yeah.
Or the people that were, if you disobeyed your parents, that you were going to die that way. And I never considered them to be morality tales at all until, reading that.
I didn't even think about that. I mean, I know there's definitely tropes. There's definitely decisions that are made that are repeated in a lot of movies, like running up a staircase when you should be running out the front door.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
You're the black guy, you're definitely dying.
Yeah, like there's all kinds of these things that we just know this is going to happen. There's going to be a group of friends. One is a jock, the other's a nerd. And, it's sort of like all these different tropes that they make fun of even in Cabin in the Woods. Came out a while ago. But to your point, though, I didn't really think about that. But you're absolutely right. It's always like if you disobey your parents or you do this, you do that, especially in the late 70s, and something's bound to happen to you. It's not going to be good.
Yeah, losing your virginity, worst thing in the world in a horror movie. Yeah, you do not want to do that.
Can't do that, or if you're smoking a cigarette, or I don't know. But there's a lot of stuff, mainly in the 80s, I think, where it was just like, okay, don't do all these things.
Definitely don't kind of feel that sense of need to pass those morality tales on now, especially with the Act Out podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
we try to be a progressive bunch here.
Yeah, it works, but. I do love horror movies. I understand, though, it's not for everybody. Certainly can be difficult to watch, I guess, when growing up as a kid. There's certain, I don't know. My parents are kind of okay with me doing that sort of thing, but I also think it comes down to parenting. Some parents, probably for the better, don't want their kids watching horror movies. So
you're right. It depends on the environment that you grow up in. Because I know that there are plenty of families that that is how they kind of that's their family movie night. Yeah. We're going to watch Scream or some kind of horror movie, and it's something that really brings people together. Yeah. It's just because it's not for me doesn't mean it shouldn't be for anyone else. That's kind of how I.
But I'll say action films that you watch, like Bloodsport and Jean-Claude, those are all great things to watch too.
Absolutely, everyone should watch those.
Yeah, I highly agree.
Yeah. Kris, thank you so much for acting out.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you.